So we are live. A warm welcome to each and everyone who joins our webinars regularly on Zoom and on YouTube and on Facebook as well and on Twitch for the live sessions. We appreciate your time and efforts in showing your support into this initiative where Cogent Integrated Business Solutions, the company behind this Zipinars that we are doing to provide free knowledge and information from seasoned professionals and their experiences to the world, actually, so to the general public. So this is to create an empowered and informed community through this. But why we try to zip it in as one in a 1 hour session. So that's to lessen your time in acquiring knowledge, but giving you a boost of information in a short period of time. So we definitely hope you support further with this initiative and continue watching our live sessions and also the recorded sessions on the YouTube page, Let Us Talk It. So we are to start then for the first topic that we have today. So the persons that I have with me today are very important people and definitely will give you that knowledge and experience that you look for as they have experienced this one firsthand in their like real scenarios that they have experienced themselves. So the first topic is good working culture and environment. So good and conducive environment is essential for growth of any organization. Some suggestions to create the growth mindset environment will be tackled in this topic, and that I agree. So it's not always the pay that actually matters. It's actually the culture and the environment that where you stand in. So that's definitely vital in terms of in a corporate world. So with us is Air Marshal Anil Khosla, which is retired, an Indian Air Force veteran and a former Vice Chief of Air Staff, VCAS, Indian Air Force, an alumnus of the National Defense Academy, was commissioned in the fighter stream of the Indian Air Force. So Air Officer has to his credit over 4,000 hours of accident-free flying, mainly on different variants of Jaguar, MiG-21, and Kiran aircraft. So he is equally experienced in both ground attack and air defense roles with a specialization in the maritime role. So we are really privileged to have this caliber of speaker to give us this topic today. And without further ado, I'm giving you Mr. Anil Khosla to deliver the first topic. Please take over, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for the kind words. And thank you, Cognate IBS, for inviting me to share my views. Rather than share my views, I will say share my practical experiences of 40 years being in the Indian Air Force. So if you take any organization, whether corporate, civil, military, the idea is to grow and do well. That is the aim. And whatever field you are in. And very important part of the organization of any organization is the human beings and the HR matters, policies, and how the humans behave. I mean, what sort of environment, what sort of culture prevails is a very, very important factor for the organization in case it has to grow. And in the long run, the environment has to become like a culture if you take a long run stand. So what I'll do is I will cover a few aspects related to what are basically some of the suggestions, some constituents of a good working culture, or in the long run, as I said, environment organization needs to provide. And maybe if time permits, little bit about the role of the leader. And I have some 2 or 3 very interesting management theories along with that, how to manage. If time permits, we will cover that also. Each actually is a topic in itself, and let's see how much ground can we cover. So I'll start with, I was doing some research on one of the topics, and I got into seeing various quotes by very, very people who are considered to be successful, rich and famous, you can say, successful in their fields, like Steve Jobs, Henry Ford, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Thomas Edison, Elon Musk. So all these people, their quotes were taken on, what they have to say about life, thoughts, mistakes, failure, success, time, work, uh, job, etc. So when I was doing this research, I found a very interesting thing. The three things which stood out are very, very common in all of them. Whatever quotes they said, three things are very, very common. So I'll share with you. The first is, it says, live your life, do what you love, and learn to let go. I mean, from the organization point of view, the importance is that create an environment where the people start loving what they're doing in your organization. The second thing common between all these people's quotes were ideate, innovate, and give it your best shot. That means think and always try and improve something and think out of the box. The third thing was equally important, and that I will not dwell upon too much because that is, I will be stepping into domain of the general, which he is going to talk. The third thing they very commonly they said was that mistakes and failures are part of life. Don't give up, learn from them, and move on and improve. So these are the three things which were common in all the quotes of all these so considered successful people. Okay, let's start off with what are the suggested constituents of the good working environment in any organization. So I put top of them is initiative and involvement. If you can get your people to take initiative and involve them in their job, I mean, you will have a very, very growth mindset sort of a culture in the organization. So initiative, obviously, if people are happy with whatever they're doing, it's not good enough. You should encourage them to take one step extra. Always there is a scope for improvement, whatever you do. And that one step which you take extra makes all the difference. And involvement is very, very necessary. I remember actually involvement should go into the realm of ownership. I will dwell upon it a little bit. Involvement is that whatever you are doing, you give it your best shot. You give it your 100%. Okay, that is what is involvement is. And if you can inculcate this habit and create a little bit of ownership, then it becomes even better. So what it means is, like the leadership style is also changing from the new generations which are coming up are very, very aware of various things. So a little bit of leadership style change from tell type to sell type is coming in. Sell type is that you tell them what to do, what is to be done, and why part of it, if you explain a little bit, the person understand why he's doing it, as an involvement increases. And ownership is, if he feels that the idea is his or the idea is come from him, it becomes his own. He becomes the owner of that. He will give you more than 100% of it. So the smart leaders, what they do is they lead the people on to thinking, they lead them on to what they want actually to be done or said, but they lead them on in such a way that the people feel that it is their idea and their thing which is working in the thing. That will be ideal situation. Okay. Next most important thing is teamwork in any organization. I remember of my training NDA days, cross country, learned early. In the cross country, the whole squadron is running, about 150 odd people. And it is not the fastest runner or this thing makes a difference. It is a teamwork. So the fastest runner also had to, take along all the slow runners along with him. So it has to be a total teamwork. And defense services are the best example to learn from. Actually, in defense services, what happens is your life depends on your buddies and your partners. Your life is in their hand and their life is in your hand. So what other best way of teamwork can be? Of course, in the organization, other civil, corporate, it's not a matter of life or death. But still, if you can inculcate the teamwork and the respect for each other and mutual respect, then it will be ideal situation and the organization will grow. And next thing is, I already said in those introductory words, I followed these principles actually in the Air Force. I learned it when I was junior, and when I became at senior ranks, I did implement some of these. That's why I'm sharing with you the principle of 3 I's: ideate, innovate, implement. That is what is means is have thinking people in your organization who can think about new things, who can think out of the box, who can think long term, who can who have a vision and who can make the difference and make the organization grow. So problem solving, these people are the ones who can do problem solving very nicely, and that is where what is required in any organization. Okay, the other thing is very, very healthy atmosphere for discussions, especially as consultative phase. What happens is people take, in case somebody is not agreeing with your idea, it may be taken as a dissent, but it's not so. So you should encourage a very, very healthy environment for people to put across their ideas. We don't want fence sitters who look at the boss and see. In Indian Air Force, we say windsocks. So windsock is the little thing in the airports which tells you which side is the wind blowing. So we don't want those sort of people, you see which side is the wind blowing, which side is the boss oriented, and then align their thoughts. No. Give your independent opinion. That is what it should be encouraged in any organizations. Okay, very interesting thing about delegation. If the boss feels, or the higher manager, or whatever rank or whatever post he is, if he feels that he can do everything himself, is strongly mistaken. That's why the teamwork comes in. So you should learn to delegate. And delegate, when I was researching on delegate, I came across a very good saying. It says, if you don't delegate, it's like keeping a dog and barking yourself. I found it very interesting quote. So remember, when you delegate, it is the task which you're delegating, not the responsibility. Responsibility is still yours. And when you delegate, give freedom to the people to work. Don't keep looking over the shoulders. And give them American president, forgetting his name, he had given a quote. He says, don't tell people how to do it. Tell them what to do it. And with their ingenuity, they will create wonders. They will really surprise you. And it's the truth. Okay. While doing that, you should develop a system of, proactive planning and execution, and a very good system of monitoring and feedback without stepping on their toes, without overlooking their shoulders and giving them a free hand. Okay, next, very important, I feel, is the communications. What about talking about communications and not your mobile or this thing? I'm talking about communications between the various heads, various workers, various managers, various branches or various sections, or the whatever you have in the organization. You should have a system. If it is too linear, then what happens is the message has been lost. You must be corporate world as these days, have these team building exercises. And this is a favorite game they play. The one chap whispers some communication, some message to the other, and he misses. By the time 20 or 30 people, the whole message gets distorted. That's the game which is played to convey how communications are important. So the structure of the communication should be such that everyone is approachable, and everyone can talk to everyone, and people are listening to the other's point of view and taking cognizance of it. So that is the importance of the communication. Okay, one more aspect is related to mainly leadership and management. That's called zero error syndrome. Now, we should not get into zero error syndrome. Mistakes will happen. The general will cover it in detail. I don't want to go into details. But if you have a zero error syndrome, you like to do everything yourself and you will not give the freedom to others. Delegation will become difficult. So it is important for the people who are on the hierarchy to not get into a zero error syndrome. Then another thing I feel very important is sort of a safety culture which should be ingrained in the people's mind. You need to do everything safely. If you don't, organization doesn't work safely, it's a loss of revenue, it's a loss of people, it's loss of equipment, it's overall loss of pace for the organization. So very important that safety, whatever we do in life, in work, as well as at home, safety should be there. And ingrained, when you say ingrained, the example which comes to my mind is from childhood, it has been ingrained in our mind that if you put your finger into the plug point, you will get, shocked. So what happens if somebody tries to hold your finger and tries to put it in a socket? Involuntarily, it's ingrained so much that you will pull your hand back. That sort of ingraining should be done as far as safety culture is concerned. Then I have always followed this balance between work and play. Work hard, play harder. Now, what is happening is some of the corporates, some of the organizations, so people are burning out too fast. And that is because the balance is not being maintained between the work and the play. So I feel that good balance should be maintained. And if you have to grow big, this is very, very important. And if you see all the big companies, all the long run with their kept the people, they have very good HR policies. They look after the needs of the people, and that is what is required. And the next important part is, training, mentoring, and grooming. That is a very, very important part of any organization. If you don't do this, then what happens is some people become indispensable, and that's not a good state to be in. So it's very important that training, mentoring, and grooming should go on continuously. And not only the knowledge and experience should be passed on, but also the organizational values and the cultures, the ethos, they should also be passed on to the younger people who are joining the organization. So I feel these are some of the very, very important factors which go into making a very good working environment and a growth mindset in any organization. I'll just cover one of the aspects related to management. I have a very interesting theory. It's called car theory. Learning from a vehicle or a car. So in a car, what happens is you want the car to run smoothly, and it runs on. It has four wheels, and it has got tires, and so I have a theory. So there's a lot to learn from the car. Any organization can follow this. One is, for smooth running of a car, what do you need? A correct tire pressure and equal tire pressure in all the four tires. If you do an unequal tire pressure, then what happens is it starts wobbling, it starts wearing. So similarly, in an organization, you have various people. Is some are very eager, some are callous, some are got egos, all sort of things are there. It's very important to bring them all to the same level and make sure that the organization runs at a particular pace and the correct way. So in this, what you need to do is for tire, like a tire, you have to inflate somebody's inflate somebody in boost, give them a boost, encourage them, and at times you have to deflate certain conditions. You have to control them, and just remember while doing that, not to do it in public and not to dampen the total enthusiasm. The second thing you learn from the car is the wheel alignment. We do wheel alignment very often. If you don't do that, then the car starts pulling in different directions. Same thing in an organization. All the group members of the organization need to work towards the common goal as decided by the organization. You have to keep them aligned with that, and you have to keep them focused. So that is the second lesson we learn from the car. The third one is wheel rotation. Now, if you see in the car, what happens is periodically rotate the wheels. Otherwise, the tires start wearing from one side, and that is also not healthy. So in organization, what happens is if you keep a person for too long, he becomes bored with the work, and if he becomes his starts stagnating, and human being needs new challenges periodically, and so you need to rotate them and give them new challenges while keeping them in the organization. But point to remember here is that if you do it too often also, it is detrimental. So a good leader or a manager knows when to rotate and how to rotate. Then is wheel balancing, which is done in the car, for stability of the car. So similarly, the balancing has to be maintained in any organization. The balance between what task you're giving them and the wherewithal how to do it. If you give them the task which is Herculean and don't provide the wherewithal, perchance will not be able to perform. And if you do it other way around, you'll be wasting your assets. Okay, last example from the car is always keep a spare wheel. As I covered earlier, nobody is indispensable, but always have a backup plan so that, for contingencies, you can have a person available. And this also needs advanced preparation. It's not that suddenly you will pick up a person and tell him to start doing the work which is not been involved earlier. So always keep a backup plan, always keep a spare wheel available. So this is one of my favorite theories of learning from a car and applying it to any organization. How are we doing time-wise?
We got
Are we
another
okay
10
on
minutes.
time? Yeah, okay.
10 more minutes.
Fine. So what I'll do is I'll cover a few more aspects related to a role of a leader in an organization. When I say leader, it is not necessarily the top man or the CEO. It is leaders at different levels. I'm not going into what is a leader and what is a manager. Enough has been written in the books, and all everyone is aware what is leadership and what is management. Leaders use various styles, and decide what to do. And the managers use various tools, management tools, and decide how to do it in the organization. And both are equally important. So I'll not go into too much of detail, but leadership is very, very interesting part. So I was doing some research on leadership also at one time, and I came across various definitions of leader. But the most interesting definition of a leader I came from sixth US president. What he said was that every man is a leader, and the zone of influence differs. But how he defined the leader was, he said, if your actions, I'm quoting him, if your actions inspire others, just note actions and inspire others to do what? To do more, learn more, dream more, and become more. Either of them, you are a true leader. That means your actions are inspiring others to do all these things to achieve more. That is what a leader is. Okay. And one thing what happens is, we think our post or rank or whatever you want to call it, become CEO, that you become a leader. No, sir. You're not leader. That is only your rank, your post has given you a chance to be a leader, chance to prove yourself, and not that it's given you blanket clearance to be a leader. So that is a myth which goes around. You become a leader by your actions, by inspiring others. Okay, so what does a leader need to have? 2 or 3 things in my mind. One is a vision, a long-term vision. Think ahead, think long-term. 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 50 years from now, where will the company be? Where I'll be? That is what is required. That sort of a vision. It may not be clear-cut. It will be a hazy vision, but you need to have a vision. You need to have a foresight. Second is you need to have the capability of taking risk. And risk is calculated risk. There's a difference between calculated risk and rashness. It's not rashness. Rashness is getting into trouble. Calculated risk is when you have weighed everything, pros and cons, advantages, disadvantages. You have seen every aspect of it, and then you are taking a risk of various success rate, whatever percentages, and you're taking a risk. That is called calculated risk. It may not work out every time. It may not work out 100%, but it's a calculated risk and not a rash thing. And the third is, decision-making capability. That means you have ability to take decision. You're not a fence sitter. You're not, delaying it. You have ability to implement change, because change is the only constant. And you have the ability to rock the boat and implement whatever is in your mind. That is what is required in leaders. So vision, calculated risk-taking ability, and ability to take decisions. And when you say rock the boat in such a way that don't capsize. So when to rock it and how much to rock it also should be known. Okay, as I covered earlier, the leadership style has to change from tell type to sell type a little bit because of the involvement, because of the younger generations which are coming are much aware. And when you go from tell type to sell type, what happens is the involvement of the people increases quite, and they give you your best. So that is what is the role of a leader. To my mind, few things which I covered. And once you are a leader, you have to live by example, and not the motto should be do as I do, not do as I say. That is very, very important. And when you become a leader, when you inspire others, your every action is watched. You are totally transparent. So whatever you do is being watched by people. It's like your younger siblings, they look up to you when you're young age, and they watch you, whatever you're doing, and they try to imitate you. Similar case in real life also. And there are certain other conditions. There are other qualities of a leader. I'll just mention few of them. I'll not elaborate them because of time constraint. One is mental toughness. Second is physical and moral courage. Third is empathy. Ability to listen to others, and the respect which it's not demanded, it is earned. And then I will end it here because I think the time is getting over. I just got 2 minutes. Once again, a quote from Ronald Reagan. he says the very interesting quote. He says, greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does great things. He says, greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does great things himself, but he's the one that gets people to do great things. That is a great leader. And I think that sums it up. So the first quote and the last quote, I think, sums up the leadership appropriately. I think I'll stop here. There are some other theories and management theories and aspects and all, which maybe we can, if we get another chance, we'll cover it later. And thank you very much for patient hearing. And once again, thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you all on a very, very interesting and practical subject. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are very much pleasured hearing that one, especially from a very seasoned professionals like you, sir Anil. Thank you so much for that one. And yeah, it's really relatable and like it's classic. Like it happens from before up until the present. It's somehow for some it's being taken for granted, but for those who have been acknowledging the good working environment, the company or the business is flourishing because everybody stays and you don't have to rehire and retrain people and all that. So yeah, from our attendees, I would like to acknowledge the presence of the CEO of Cogent. We have Srinivasa Tanta, sir, who is with us today as well. And yeah, he may be on mute or whatnot, but even if he's driving or doing or busy on something, he still joins and listens to these webinars, definitely. And he's still with us. Yes, sir?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it was great conversation, a lot of good information, Anilji. And Rajeshji, look forward. Thank you for your valuable time today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. And from our attendees, do you have any questions or insights or opinions regarding the topic? Feel free to do so, you wish, before we move to the next topic.
Anyway, even if you have questions later on in the chat box or somebody wants to ask, since the time is constrained, you can send it to me. I will reply to them individually, or also I keep putting them on the blog so they can read and whatever my views are on that, whatever questions they have, they can accept. I think we can move on to the next topic and you can I can answer the questions individually or subsequently. Thank you very much.
No, yes. Yes, sir, Srini.
Talking to me?
I know, Sir Srini is raising hand. Would you like to say something, sir?
Oh, sorry, it was by mistake. Yeah, thank you.
Not a problem. All right, then. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can put it on chat and we'll be moving to the next topic. And thank you so much again, Sir Anil. So for the next topic that we have today, the title, failures. So is it a buzz or a cuss word? So on social media, people highlight their successes and never their failures. Definitely, it's obvious. It happens everywhere. I can see it everywhere. And of course, our viewers observed it too. So success comes from the backdrop of failures. So that's where the story lies. That's where the lessons emerge, as the casualty in success is the truth. So don't shy from failures, as our speaker is giving this word, and which is like a veteran as well, and currently a freelancer, and has post-serving his country for 41 years in combat as an army officer, as a veteran, and now a certified NLP and EI coach, I mean, certified corporate trainer and certified sound healer, and have trained nearly 10,000 people in the last 4 years plus post-retirement. And we have here Major General Rajesh Sahai, who will be delivering the topic. And without further ado, I'll have him take over and yeah, give it a go.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just share a certain slide so that
yes,
we'll
sir.
both audio as well as visual, if you don't mind.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you. You know, a couple of years back, I always wanted to play an instrument. And I tried my best to play the mouth organ, the harmonica. I just couldn't play. And one fine day, a call came to my wife, and her friend rang up and said that, is your dog barking in the background while I was trying the mouth organ, right? And I was so aghast and so shocked that I left the mouth organ in the most dustiest place in my house and forgot about it for about 6-7 months. Then suddenly I realized that I have failed to play the mouth organ. I've seen so many YouTubes. Why should I not try it? Why should I not get about it, learn about it, and let me play it what I always wanted to play? So I picked up this mouth organ a couple of years back. And then I tried, and I tried. And I got the tone, I got the rhythm, and I got the notes. And that is the time my life, changed to understand as to what it is all about. So, ladies and gentlemen, viewers online, uh, I can play it not so well, but I can play it fairly well. So that is the lesson of my life, which I learned a couple of years back. Failure. Yes, I failed. Yes, we have, all of us have failed. There's no doubt about it. If anyone gets up today and says, no, I haven't failed, I think he's lying to himself, if not to the rest of the world. But actually, what is the definition of failure in most terminology is the inability to meet an expectation, your expectation or others' expectation. That is the basic definition of a failure. However, the most important point in that is that there's a proven prerequisite, and the catch is that if you have to learn, you have to learn from your failure. But unfortunately, we all are very ashamed of it because it involves us. How do I tell a person, well, I can't do? So more than anything in terms of my results, it is as to how do I project myself? What are the emotional issues involved? So it's a complete ball game of failure, which we are talking of, which I'm going to talk of. I go back to my comeback days. I was in an area which was infested with terrorists, and at night we had very hard intelligence, and we laid down a cordon to get hold of the terrorists. There were about 5 of them, and it so happened that they broke through the cordon early in the morning at around 2 or 3 o'clock. It was a failed operation. We failed miserably, a hard intelligence, and we couldn't get a sausage. Then started, the bosses hammering us to say what went wrong, etc., so on and so forth. I told my boss that, sir, if I tell you the amount of failures I've had and missed chances I've had, you will sack me here and the cell, and you yourself will probably have palpitation and meet with a heart attack. A small thing came out that when the terrorists broke through the cordon, one of the light machine guns, its firing pin had broken, and it was not checked by anyone or everyone. No one checked it. So one small error in the process made the complete operation a zero. But we learned from it, because after that, we ensured that that firing pin didn't break. You look at this thing, a light. Thomas Edison immediately comes into your mind. Today we are sitting here totally enlightened and lighted. Well, this gentleman failed 2,774 times as per his report. In certain places they say 10,000 times to work on the design of the electric bulb. How many times he failed? He made 1,000+ patents. But the issue is that this is the quote which he says, I have not failed 10,000 times. I have successfully found 10,000 ways that will not work. So it's a mindset which is very important in failures. Everyone talks of success. Everyone loves to play the drum on success. But when it comes to failure, then it's something where everyone goes mum. So the importance of failures in our life is what is important, that it is an attitude and not the aptitude. So what I'll do is I will read something for you to accentuate this point. I'll read it from top. Today was the absolute worst day ever, and don't ever try to convince me that there's something good in every day. Because when you take a closer look, this world is a pretty evil place. Even if some goodness does shine through once in a while, satisfaction and happiness don't last. It is not true that it's all in the mind and the heart, because true happiness can be obtained only if one's surroundings are good. It is not true that good exists. I'm sure you can agree that the reality creates my attitude, is all beyond my control. And you'll never in a million years hear me say that today was a good day. So in essence, what I've read to you is that today is the worst day ever. So what I'll do is I will change the words which are so important in our life. I will now read it from bottom to top. Today was a good day, and you'll never in a million years hear me say that it is all beyond my control. My attitude creates a reality. I'm sure you agree that it's not true that good exists only if one's surroundings are good. True happiness can be obtained because it's all in the mind and heart. It's not true that satisfaction and happiness don't last. Some goodness does shine through once in a while, even if this world is a pretty evil place, because when you take a closer look, there's something good in every day. And don't try to convince me that today was the worst, absolutely worst day ever. So what I've done in the same paragraph is how I have changed my attitude from negativism to positivism. That is what failure is all about. If I keep crying about my failures, I will never get out of it. If I say, okay, damn it, it happened. It happens to everyone. It happened to me. So what? Let me push ahead. You see this photograph of a child, right? Learning how to walk. We all have learned how to walk. Our parents taught us how to walk. You see this guy. He's tired, he's fatigued. What is the essential difference between both? As a child, I didn't have one word in my vocabulary, which I learned, unfortunately, as an adult. And that word is the word quit. I can't do it. I hereby quit. So, ladies and gentlemen, this word quit is in our vocabulary, right? I'm not telling you to do anything about it. It's just to nullify it and be the child again. Try and try and try again. It's an adage. Try again till you succeed. But as an adult, I really fail in this because of the word quit, which comes into my vocabulary. Now we talk of responsibility. We need to reclaim this word responsibility. What exactly is this responsibility? It's the ability to respond. My ability to respond is what responsibility is all about, right? Now you see, I'm showing you a plant and a man. This is the plant in front of me. Now there's a responsible transaction taking place between the plant and me. By the way, this is a live plant, it's not a plastic plant. There is a transaction taking between the plant and me, and the transaction is the plant exhales oxygen. I inhale the oxygen. I exhale carbon dioxide, and the plant inhales that. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is a responsible transaction which is taking place between me and the plant per se. So responsibilities of failures, right? What happens in our life that we do not take responsibility of failure? Let me take this pen, right? And I drop this pen. Now there are two things: a freedom not to act and a freedom to act. The option is with me. that do I want to act on it or do I do not want to act on it? If I do not want to act on it, it is stagnation. If I want to act on it, it is options. Options to pick it up myself, options to tell someone else to pick it up for me, or multitude of options. I can shake it to one side, but that freedom, that responsibility lies with me and no one else, right? And in this, the choice is vested with me. So if I start crying on my failure, the choice is on you. Keep crying. The world will keep going ahead. If I say, okay, I need to take hold of my failures, I need to take hold of my mistakes, so what? It is my choice. So ladies and gentlemen, pick up the choice, have the freedom to act, because the freedom to act is what will give you the options. Not to act, and freedom to act will give you growth, and not to act will stagnate you. You may keep lamenting all your life, nothing is going to change. We have this gentleman, Abdul Kalam, who was our president of our country, late Mr. Abdul Kalam. He got rejected by the Indian Air Force. Air Marshal Costa will bear me out. Thank God he got rejected by the Air Force. He failed. And he was the main man who got us into the space. And of course, he became the president of India. So you can well imagine, having been rejected in the Indian Air Force, which was his dream, he became the president of my country, right? If he had sat down on his haunches and cried his life throughout, he would have been no one. And there's so many such examples. I mean, I don't have to elucidate from J.K. Rowling to Bill Gates to Oprah Winfrey to Walt Disney, right? And to Michael Gordon. All these people are the epitome of failures and how they circumvented the failures to go into success. We have a very famous actor known as Amitabh Bachchan, who comes in a lot of movies. When I read his history, he's got a beautiful voice, right? Every man, I think, would love to possess a voice like Amitabh Bachchan. But he was rejected in his younger days to talk on the radio because they said, no, your voice has no bass. I mean, that probably projected him to then become one of the main persons today in our film industry. Right. So next I go to failure. Now, what happens in failure? We need to guard against this. It happens in every place, every organization, it happens. Lame excuses, right? The time wasn't right. The market conditions were not good. The procedures weren't followed. These are all lame excuses. You need to be careful of these lame excuses. Next is, and this is the worst, blame game. Scapegoat mentality. Find that person who created the muck-up and hang him. Please don't get involved in any blame game. We all are humans, and to err is human. Stigma of failure. I, as a person, would not love to stand out and say that I have failed in my life. Yes, I have failed. But it takes a lot of courage, robustness of your mental abilities to be a stigma of failure. Shy to accept. The Marshall had just spoken of zero error syndrome. Because this leads to the problem of zero error syndrome, because we are shy to accept it. That there's something wrong which has gone wrong in our organization, right? I need to put the things into place. I need to audit it, but that would lead into zero error syndrome because people would not come up to say, "I'm so sorry, I did a mistake." So what? And last but not the least, that you try to push it under the carpet. Conflicts, you push it under the carpet. You don't try to resolve it. I do a lot of corporate training. I train a lot, 10,000 plus people I've trained. This is the biggest problem. We can't hold the thing by the scruff of the neck. We try to push it under the carpet. Okay, let it lie. Maybe it will die its own death. Sorry, it doesn't die its own death. It'll crop up again. So if I see the matrix of failure as I have given, there is a spectrum. I just want to cover it up in short. On the right side, you see the blameworthy and the praiseworthy, right? We all go through the stages, and you can identify in your life whatever has happened, deviation. Blame one. That if there's a set procedure, I have willingly deviated from it, knowingly deviated from it. That is an issue which has to be addressed by the person or the person. There's no doubt about that. Inattention. That I have not given due attention to whatever is required of me. Lack of ability. Now, as I keep going down the spectrum, the degree of failures reduce and the degree of culpability reduces. Maybe I don't have the ability to do the task. It's not necessary that everyone has the same ability. No, it will not be. In a team, when we talk of a team, I would love to have a team, everyone not having the same ability. I would love to have a team with diverse abilities, and maybe some guys are good in something, some guys are not good in that thing. They may be better than something else. Maybe I lack the ability. Faulty processes. I go back to that firing pin incidents where we had a failure in our operations. It's a faulty process. I would not blame the person who was holding the light machine gun. I would blame the whole organization that the process probably was not taken so seriously. But come that mistake, we learned it the hard way. But after that, we never ever had this malfunction. Challenging task. Maybe the task which is assigned to me is so challenging that becomes very difficult for me to do it. I need assistance. I need help. I need guidance. I need mentorship. Probably I need someone to hold my hand to take me along, because I'm not expected to know everything in the world. Irrespective of the fact, I may be at any position. Clarity. This is very important. What happens is whenever I go to corporate and I start with what is the vision of your company, what is the mission of your company. Sorry to say that they have a sketchy idea. And what always happens that the higher ladder, they have a clear vision. But as you go low the ladder, there is a nebulous clarity in the vision. So it is very important that the complete canvas has to be known right from the bottom of the run to the top of the run. That is again what Marshall Khosla was saying, a leadership issue. Experimental testing. Maybe I'm testing something experimentally. It is okay. If I fail, Thomas Edison, if he failed 10,000 times or 4,474 times or whatever, I'm doing an experimental testing to see that does it fit into it. It's okay. It is praiseworthy that I'm trying something. Hypothesis. If I've taken a hypothesis and I want to prove it we're right or wrong by the segmentation, etc., my hypothesis may go wrong or it may go right. It is a part and parcel of my learning. The last thing which I come to issues is what are the learning from failures? There has to be certain learning in the end part of it. Resilience is the ability, like a bamboo stick, to get back to the position from brittle to resilience. And resilience gives you the adaptability to change. We are in the world. VUCA world is finished. World War II and those areas are finished. We are into the Bani world. Bani world talks of brittle, anxious, non-linear, and lastly, incomprehensible. Did we know 3 years back we are going to be hit by a disease known as COVID? None of us dreamed about it. We were hit so badly we didn't know what to do about it. But with that issue of not knowing about it, there were certain opportunities which arose. And today in India, the Indians around, in India, we have one of the best systems of payment on mobile. Even if a person selling on the street vendor has got mobile payments. So this is an opportunity which came, adaptability to change, grit, right? Growth mindset, which I was talking to you about, tenacity. This gives you a part and parcel of resilience. Flexibility is the next point, which I would like to cover. I should be able to overcome obstacles. I have failed. Doesn't make a difference. Change my course, change my planning, be flexible, be adaptable. try to overcome the obstacles which I've identified. Nimble. I need to be nimble. In today's world, I have to be nimble. I have to be, the other word which is generally used is agile. You have to be agile. You have to be nimble to be able to get the best possible lessons from it. Creativity and innovation. Yes, I have failed. Yes, I couldn't succeed. So what? Okay, let me give it a retry. Let me think of something else, which my creative mind is thinking. Let me innovate it. Let me do something different from what I did earlier. Let me pick up another path to it. And this gives me self-motivation and drive. Failure gives me the self-motivation that I need to succeed. There's nothing like success. There is no sweet, more sweeter than success. But behind the success, there is hard work, there's blood and sweat. It motivates me, drives me to do better. Learning opportunities. You know, in one of the operations, like I said that in success, the first casualty is the truth. So what happened is we were having an operation and of a ambush, which is the most difficult operation of war. There are two difficult operations of war. One is patrolling, one is ambush, where you sit and wait for the enemy to come in, neutralize the enemy. And suddenly we had a firing and success given, etc., etc. So I checked out on what happened. We said, so we neutralized 2-3 people, terrorists, etc., etc. So I said, okay, how did you do this? Fantastic. I'm very happy here. How did you do this? He says, sir, we did a shifting ambush. I had put in about 20 plus years of service. In my life, I had never heard of shifting ambush. So I told him, I said, wow, son, damn good. Your results are good, but what is the shifting ambush? There's something which I need to learn. We said, no, sir, we saw the terrorists coming and we shifted the ambush. So when not because of the fault finding, just to know the truth as to what happened, the two people, there were two stops. Who's sitting in that area, you have to sit quietly without noise, anything. They wanted to go and pee. No, that they wanted to go and pee. So these two people, they shifted about 100 odd, 50 to 100 meters away from the ambush site. And fortunately for them, the terrorists walked into where these two guys were peeing, and they neutralized the terrorists. So the issue here is that success at a point in time, you try to butter it up. You try to whitewash, and you try to accentuate it as a big thing. These are all learning opportunities, especially in things. Self-reflection. It gives me an opportunity to look within. I need to look inward. What's wrong with me? Why am I not motivated? Why don't I have the drive? Why do I not have the resilience and tenacity to do it? Damn it, I can do it. I should be able to do it. So this self-reflection becomes very important. Courage. Courage of conviction. Courage of morale. You need to have the courage of your own self that I can do it. I shall do it. Self-confidence related to your courage. Fragmentation of goals. What happens is in the army, we break the goals into smaller goals which are known as reference points. So if I have to go to a place A, which is about 6 kilometers, I have to go and attack that place, I break it up into smaller achievable goals. The first goal is to go to the 1 kilometer thing, secure it. 2nd kilometer, and so on and so forth, till I reach the 10th kilometer and I capture that area. So you need to break your goals into smaller achievable goals, which keeps your morale up and reduces your failures. Last but not the least is contingency planning. In army, the most important issue is not the plan. The most important, and one which is taught again and again and again and again, is contingency planning. What if? What if this doesn't happen, then what we shall do? What if this happens, then what shall we do? What if the enemy crops up from here and not there, then what shall we do? So our contingency planning is actually the bedrock of our plans. This is what we do in the army. I got last 2 minutes. I just leave a thought for your last point to ponder upon. What is your definition of love? I have my own definition of love. like all of you all would have. So think about it. Give the answer to yourself, or you can check out for me what is my definition of love. What is your definition of love? Thank you very much, Phil. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I'm really, really grateful, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Sir Rajesh, for that wonderful discussion about the topic, and definitely leaving us that final question actually made everyone think, and actually becomes curious of how you answer it from your point of view. But yeah, we have here Sarabi mentioned great points are highlighted with your topic, and to our attendees, you're free to ask questions. And do you have like, if in case they wanted to check with you offline, Sir Rajesh, how can they reach out to you?
Oh, they can ask. I think I still got about more than less than a minute. They can ask me now or whatever. Anyone. You'll have to unmute.
So we have from chat, Sarabi, is
Also-
failure a key
Yeah.
to success?
Is the failure a key to success? She's absolutely hit the nail on the head. It's a precursor. Failure is a precursor to success. No guy, no anyone on the world can say that I succeeded immediately. Either he's really good or he's lying. Precursor to success is a failure, because that is where you learn. Thank you, ma'am Pandey.
So we have a minute to go, and let me just put my closing remarks before we end the today's session. So thank you so much, attendees, and really appreciate your time and effort, and sharing your experience as well as speakers, Sir Anil and Sir Rajesh. So those are really key aspects in our day-to-day, and definitely is very useful to keep in mind with, and also our deep feelings and thoughts, so that we can use and help us improve as well.
Sorry to interrupt. Does anyone have the definition of love? Your definition of love? Well, what is your definition of love?
Well, it's not actually concrete, and it is subjective, and it's more on like sacrifice.
Okay.
And yes, definitely. So you cannot say you love something if you haven't worked hard for it, and you quit if you're not getting it.
Thank you very much. And Shiva Kumar is saying love is blind. Sir, I have no issues on that. But my definition of love, related to my topic, love is acceptance of imperfection. We all are not perfect. So when I love someone, I have to love that person with all her imperfections. And I'm sure she also would love me with my levels of imperfection. So that I just wanted to add to the last point of my failures. Thank you very much, Phil. Sorry to disturb you in between.
That is totally fine. So again, so one final touch, Sir Anil, Sir Rajesh, do you have anything you're working on, like a book or any program you'd like to promote before we end?
Sorry, say again.
Yeah, are you working on something like a book or a program or any sessions that you have that you'd like to promote so everyone can find?
I have my blog. I got almost 350 posts on it, and I write about various things, not only leadership, management, and growth mindset, but also on defense strategic issues and all. And if anybody is interested, I've sent you in the biodata, all the links are there to my social media handles and my blog. And in blog, I write about various things.
All right, thank you. How about you, Sir Rajesh?
Yeah, I am more on LinkedIn. If you type my name as Major General Rajesh Sahai, you can follow me. I keep writing a lot on LinkedIn, and whatever work I do, I put it on LinkedIn. So anyone and everyone is most welcome.
Perfect. Then, so good, sirs. Thank you so much for everything that we had today in this session. We are honored with your presence and your perspective as well in terms of the knowledge that you have shared. And for those who attended and watched live, thank you so much for continuing to support the initiative of creating an informed and empowered community. And this recording will be uploaded on YouTube for later watch for those who missed this live sessions. And we welcome you and we invite you for the next session next Wednesday. So that's the same time, and 12 noon to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that would be 9:30 to 10:30 p.m. For India Standard Time. I do not know all the time zones, but feel free to check it out. And we hope to see you again next Wednesday, and we wish you well. And this is the end of the live session. And thank you again, and keep safe as always. So have a good night, have a good day, have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.